here's a start. Hi everyone, welcome to the live Q&A thing. Where are we? Hi everyone, I'm teaching you Bruges. Bruges? Not Bruges. Bruges. You're welcome. I'm glad that won the vote. Been doing a lot of older games lately. And I think there's quite a few waiting in the queue for votes to be filmed. But yeah, it's fun doing the old ones. Especially because I remember how to play them. Haven't had to learn them. But then again, I do make some big mistakes in some of them. What was a good one I did? What was the Stefan Feld one I did? I can't remember. I did a Trajan. Oh, it was good doing Trajan. And then we've got Macau coming up, I think. Did that win a vote? I never found out, did I? Macau might be coming up. Who knows? We're going to do something special for the next... Well, depends how... I suppose your perspective of how special it is might be different. But we're doing... Rachel picks the votes for March. Rachel picks the games. Unfortunately, they have to be games that haven't been filmed yet. So it's not... And it's... Rach wants to make very clear that it's not her top 10 games.
Some would be in the top 10.
Some would be. Yeah, we've got Rachel's musings, Rachel's preliminary candidates for the first vote of 10 things. So if you're a Kickstarter backer, you get to vote on Rachel's things. And is she going to give reasons?
Probably not.
Is she going to?
Are
you going to give Can you give reasons for 10 of them other than because they're good?
We're not making this into my top 10.
No, but I have to give little. I'm really bad at it. But I make a list of the 10 things. I do a geek list that people can click on and do little...
Wow.
Why you should vote for this thing.
Amerigo, cool tower that you drop cubes in.
That's true.
That's all you need to know about that game.
I think I tried to put Amerigo in a recent vote to continue the Stefan Feld trend, and I don't think it quite won. What do we think? Hi, Official Hypro.
Hi.
I love your accents. Thank you. Trajan worth buying, definitely. Watch the playthrough. It's
like one of the only games
if we are discounting Gloomhaven because it's not fair to other games to include Gloomhaven in comparisons, then aside from Gloomhaven, your favourite game still Rach?
Trajan.
Still?
Every time.
Still? And Trajan definitely my favourite Stefan Feld game. Favourite game overall? I don't know. I've got to work that out soon though. Time's ticking away before I have to do a top 10. If I make this bigger, can we see the whole screen? Hi Chris, would you ever consider doing a Ryder Cup style competition between Europe and USA with board games? I don't know what the Ryder Cup is. Is it golf? It's golf, right? I don't know. Is it just a competition? Or is there something specific about the Ryder Cup?
Dice Tower versus Gaming Rules.
Oh, we do we compete between channels. Ah.
I think Rado would play for us.
Yeah, hopefully. While I'm shaking this laptop like crazy.
It's because you keep leaning on the table.
Stop touching the table. It would be great if you Dice Tower versus Gaming Rules and Slickerdrips. Who would Rado play for? I think while his body is in America right now, his heart's still in Europe. We're hoping. Hopefully, if things don't degrade in England, he'll come back one day. Maybe he'll make another Fable one day. Maybe he'll find He got offered it. Fable, is it 4 they're on now? Mm-hmm. It would have been great. Fable 2 was amazing. Ben knows. The 12-year-old knows. Thanks, Ben.
For the clarification.
Is there something special about it, though, or is it just... Is it the same as saying... You could have said World Cup, and it would have been the same. I don't know. Maybe it's special. Maybe they have 10 golfers at once. They all have to swing at exactly the same time.
Well, I would assume by the description that they go into teams.
Oh, it's like teams between countries. Ah, okay. Yeah, this is about...
You're bringing in a sports analogy when we really don't care about any sport.
Well, World Cup's about as far as it goes. Well, I got offered a football game. A football board game Kickstarter-y thing the other day. I asked for the rules. I didn't just dismiss it. I said, yeah, to be honest, I really don't like football, but I will consider the game still. Wait, oh no, I've gone down here. What topics did you want to... You said you had some...
Well,
is that your announcement?
My first little topic is that we've had our first little fan art from... Because I'm a teacher. My class are aware of the video and the videos in the channel. And we had our first fan art.
Wow.
By one of the girls in my class. So there we go. Can't give you any more information than that. But that's our little bit of fan art.
Right, it's got to be the
New
start
style, funky Sheriff Marty.
It's got to be the start of some kind of art competition.
So, yes, we don't know where you would send it to, but maybe
well,
in the future we'll be sending us some fan art.
Yeah. So at some point we'll find some kind of prize.
Scan it on Slickerdrips.
Yeah. At some point we'll get a prize and then there'll be a proper competition.
Fan art competition.
Just tucked away at the end of a video. You've got to watch them all to find out what the competition is. Ben, it's golf in turns. Good one, Ben. Is it fun? You are welcome for the videos. High Rise or Glenmore II? Well, I did get asked this in a comment because, yeah, it's two time track games that are both... Well, they're both time track games. They haven't got that much in common, have they? They're both Euro-y style games with time tracks on Kickstarter really now. But I said, well, they were saying in terms of like complexity and replayability. And for those, I would say that just Glenmore II, without any of the Chronicles, High Rise is probably more complex and has a lot more replayability because Glenmore does as well. Just Glenmore the original, even though you only had the same tiles every time and they would all come out, apart from the end ones, you might not get to all of them, but they would just come out in a different order. And you would always see the same castles and things like that. The original Glenmore, still massively replayable just with those things. So, like, Glenmore 2, it's got everything from the original, plus the clan board, so you can get these special player powers as you're playing along. So that adds, like, you'll go down different paths in that, even though the same things are available. That makes it more variable. But I'd say High Rise, like, base Glenmore 2 and High Rise... High Rise has got so many of those cards that go out in the different... You've seen the playthrough, the neighbourhoods have all got like 3 cards in them. There are loads of different cards for each of those neighbourhoods. Like the combinations that come out of those will be massive. And then the blueprints are different. And the bonuses that come out every round will be different every time. Yeah, loads of variability. But then Glenmore 2 has got Chronicles. It's the subtitle of the game, actually. It comes with 8, I think, now, but maybe more will get added in the Kickstarter, because guests are designing them as well. I know that Klaus, and pronunciation, I have no idea, Klaus-Jürgen Werder, who is the designer of Carcassonne, basically, is designing a Chronicle for Glenmore 2. But it's going to have a load of those, and you can mix and match them. You could turn them all on if you wanted an insanely complicated game. But I'd say with those, that makes it ridiculously variable, because you've got everything that was in Glenmore and then that clan board and the differences, the combinations of the Chronicles that you're using. So while I'm kind of ducking out of the question of which is better, yeah, there's that. Just duck out of it. Glenmore 2 with the Chronicles on is probably more replayable. If you're going to play the same thing over and over and over again, I don't know. I'm excited about both of them because I already loved Glenmore to begin with, and then High Rise has got its newness factor. There's nothing really quite like High Rise either. I don't know. Enough about those. They're both fantastic though. I don't think you can go wrong choosing either one of them. Is there an On Mars preview in the pipeline soon? I hope so. Nothing's been kind of finalised about it. I know that for the prototypes of all of Vital Lacerda's games, he handcrafts them himself. So there are only, I think there's like 2 prototypes. And one usually goes to America for them to do at conventions and things. And one usually goes to Paul Grogan of Gaming Rules, because he makes the official rules videos beforehand for the Kickstarter. And for Escape Plan, it was all very last minute. I think it was during the campaign mine went up. We went to Manacon specifically, really, to go and play Escape Plan and get the prototype. And so, yeah, I used Paul's. I think he's mentioned that he would be able to pass it on to me, but nothing's been finalised yet. So hopefully, I really hope so, because, yeah, I would love to play on Mars and make a video for it. But it depends on, Paul's got to make his official video, and then he hasn't even got a post office. He's got to cycle all the way to another town with On Mars on his back and send it up here. So hopefully that will happen. I'm sure if it can happen, Paul would definitely help us out. But it depends on his video, I'd say, more than anything. or make a letter writing campaign to make Vital make a third prototype. But I know they've got a million little cardboard things, so who would want to do that? Who would win in a game of chess? Out of who? Me and Rach? Me and Marty? That would just be against myself. You don't know how to play chess, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, who doesn't know how to play chess? Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah, but it would be you. Not very good at strategy.
I haven't played chess for, I don't know, school maybe? I don't know when the last... I probably played some kind of electronic form of chess at some point. So yeah, I remember how to play chess, but we might be as clueless as each other strategy-wise.
Maybe.
Who knows? I haven't played it though. I've still got my Simpsons 3D chess set from when I was a child. So that's what we play on anyway. I don't know who'd win though. Maybe Rach would win. If we turned it into a race game, Rach would definitely win. Martin from Sweden. Hi Martin, you're welcome.
Hi.
Thank you for watching them all. So what other things did we want to discuss?
Aeon's End.
Oh yeah, things that are coming up.
Did we want to discuss
Well, I think you said you wanted to complain about
depressing
the game. Yeah, this is like a little opportunity for you to get Rachel's thoughts on games. Cause she doesn't.
That's about it, really.
She doesn't lean on the table because it's shaking the thing. But yeah, Rach wanted to talk about Aeon's End.
No,
Legacy.
I thought you did.
I'm doing it in the main video.
Okay.
It's underneath here. We can't show it. The cover is a bit boring. I didn't mention that in the video. It's just black. Normal Aeon's End boxes are nice and colourful and beautiful and full of characters. Yeah, if you want just the digest of another Legacy game, I wouldn't complain as much as we did with Charterstone or Queensdale. But it isn't. We're not raving about it like Pandemic either.
No, I just think it would. No.
Yeah, you're probably a bit more down on it than me.
I don't particularly like Aeon's End.
Yeah,
anyway.
That's true. I've got that going for me that I'm fighting for it.
I was getting into it, and then
and then it got too hard.
Not really hard. It was like in your face.
Yeah.
Determined to ruin your game.
Well, one of those games was intentional. It's another one where it was really hard to do the video because it just ends up, when I can't really spoil anything, it just ends up with the video ends up really long and rambling because I'm going around in circles desperately trying not to spoil things, and then I inevitably have to have a load of cuts where I've said things that I shouldn't have said. Realise halfway through a sentence that, oh, that's a spoiler. No, that isn't available from the beginning. Shouldn't have said that. But it's really weird because you want to say what's good about it, what's legacy about it, but saying anything really about what it's like is a spoiler, and part of it's about discovery. Even though a lot of the discoveries in Aeon's End Legacy are kind of disappointing, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not great.
Yeah, the story and the way it comes out and the things that you fight, I think, are well done. But yeah, the actual things tucked away in boxes and stuff, bit disappointing. Yeah. What else is coming up that I can talk about? Copenhagen is coming up. That's coming up soon, actually. It's all uploaded. We just need to get the errors checked, really. Get it ironed out. A kind of
race game that you are determined every time you play to sit and power collect.
That's the way I play games. I'm meticulous about things. I play it. It's a. If you haven't seen Copenhagen, it's on Kickstarter now. It's another Tetris-y kind of game. Maybe a bit more like Tetris than the others, because your shapes have to either go all the way to the ground or hang off another piece. They can't just float in the air.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I probably play it a bit too much like Tetris. My things end up quite neat and ready for a flat piece to go in and get a load of rows, but it's a race game, so while I've been doing that, Rach is just filling in random things and getting all the points that she needs. So yeah, that's coming on Monday, hopefully. Depends when we can watch it to straighten out all of the errors. Martin, what are your favourite win conditions for Europe? Straight up victory points, goals like in Terraforming Mars, or perhaps like Inish? What are the goals like in Inish? It's Inish, isn't it? Or Innis? I don't know. That's a fighty game, so I don't really know much about that. I know people really like it, but how do you decide how you win in there? Usually it's victory points, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't really like games where you've got to get to and I suppose Copenhagen's a bit like this, and race games. So I do kind of like race games, but I prefer victory points as to first to 12 and then everyone else. Doesn't matter what you've done.
You're really good at race games, though.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I don't know, when it's like, I suppose in Dominion, games like Dominion where it's victory points, but the game ends at a certain point, I kind of like, and we've played Dominion now, where normally it ends when the end game conditions met, but we end up play so everyone's had the same number of turns, so it's fair. But in a race game like Copenhagen, and I think Queen's Architect as well. Yeah, Queen's Architect is over as soon as somebody does the build in the middle. I think in race games that's fine. Just as soon as someone's done it, that's it. Because that's kind of the tension of the race. You never know when the actual game is finished.
Yeah, but I do think you should get equal turns.
Yeah, Terraforming Mars, the end game of Terraforming Mars, do you remember? It's like you've got to get a certain percentage of the water, a certain temperature, a certain number of ocean tiles needs to go out, and when all of those things are met, that's the end of the game. There's no set number of rounds or anything like that. But, well, usually, I think in most of the games, it's just rounds, isn't it? In solo games, I definitely prefer there to be goals. So, say in The Gallerist, you have to get so many artists to be, I can't remember, they're not masterpieces, really renowned artists, and you have to get so many pieces in your gallery and have so much money and have sold so many pieces of art to get to certain ranks in the solo game in The Gallerist. And I think most Vital Lacerda games, ever since he's been doing his own solo variants, they all work in that kind of way, that you need to do certain criteria. That's much better in a solo game than, say, Agricola, where it's basically play the game, do your best, try and beat your score from last time. There, it's not really as interesting. But I haven't really thought about whether there's other things in a competitive game that I'd like more. I don't really know. It's generally just points. I've never really found a problem. Is Copenhagen a game about rain? That's all it's done in Denmark for the last 3 weeks. Well, it's pretty similar here.
But no, it's not about rain.
It's like a crab bucket. Pull the others down. Don't allow for a win. I like Scythe. Oh yeah, so Scythe's a little bit like Euphoria, isn't it? In that you are trying to get your stars out, aren't you? I can't remember if there's stars in Scythe, but there's the achievements, isn't there, in the corner in Scythe? And as soon as someone's gotten a certain number of those achievements, that's when as soon as that happens, it's the end of the game. But yeah, that's a bit like Euphoria, isn't it, as well? And it's nice in Euphoria. Euphoria is a race game though as well, isn't it? So like you're trying to get those stars out as quickly as you can. And yeah, race games we like, and you're good at them. I tend to be pretty terrible at them. Up until a point, I tend to crack them at a certain point.
Collect things, and I'm just like, right, that's the goal.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm good at Euphoria now. And I've won a couple of games of Queen's Architect. Whereas the first quite a few that we played, Rach just won
Had a win streak.
all of them by miles.
Miracles do happen.
And now we've got the Copenhagen playthrough suffers a little bit because I'm rubbish at the game and I'm playing against myself. So it's two bad players instead of just one of them. It's pretty colourful though. You get an idea of what the game's like. That's what it's about more than anything, isn't it? Isn't it, Rach? You watch all the playthroughs, don't you? Every one of them. What's the last one you watched?
Don't know.
It's been a long time.
I can't watch him.
Why?
Just had to play him.
That's true. So do I though. I have to play. I play the games and then I play them for the playthrough, and then I watch them to edit them, and then watch them to check them as well. I go through that thing. It's like Groundhog Day, watching these things. But hey, it works out well in the end, doesn't it? What else have we played recently that you want to go into, Rach? Nothing.
Not particularly.
We want to be playing Unlock, don't we? We need to get to Unlock.
Yeah.
But yeah, time hasn't allowed it at the moment. But tomorrow, I think. We need to play it because I'm behind on things and new games are coming out. I need to catch up with things. So Inish, like a crab bucket, pull the others down, don't allow for a win. Oh, so it's one of the games where it's like get the leader. Like Munchkin. I'm sure it's better than Munchkin. But yeah, I don't really know what the thing is like in Inish. Yeah,
Bye, Martin.
so that starts. Bye, Martin. Thanks for watching. Played Root this week. Interesting that everyone has the same goal, reach 30 points, but very different ways to get there. Yeah, I've seen... I don't know if it would be one for us, because I think that's a kind of fighty game as well, isn't it, Root? It looks beautiful. You play as all these like woodland factions. It's kind of a... It's not a war game, but it's a game of factions and fighting against each other. But it takes place in like a fantasy... everyone's... Like a kind of Dale of Merchants, Dawn of Peacemakers thing, where they're all like... different factions that play really, really differently. So depending on who you're playing, it's like, oh, if these are in it, then everyone, like, if such a faction's in it, everyone needs to bring that faction down because they're stronger at a certain thing. That kind of game. Seems cool though. I think that Rado did a 2-player variant of it, but it didn't go too well. But yeah, it's cool having all those different, like in Terra Mystica, like you get given a specific faction at the start, and that's gonna not dictate what you're gonna do, but give you certain advantages and maybe let you play a different way. Hi, Paul. Paul Incarrot here. I thought Euphoria had a Kingmaker problem. I think it could. Like if you were, if there were a couple of people at the high star counts, then you could maybe force like building in the market at a certain time to lock people out. I don't know though. It's kind of
we've played it at 4 and 3.
I think we played a 5-player game as well.
Yeah, and 5. I haven't really found that. Maybe it's just 2 we play with though.
Yeah, like I haven't really. I could maybe see it happening. It's more like it just seems like a mad dash. It's like a calm game.
And it all kicks off because for ages no one might get a star or you might get 1. And then everyone seems to it's like going pow pow pow, star star star, and it.
Yeah,
we found it to be pretty even.
I've seen people that don't like it just because of that as well. That as soon as the markets kick in, it's just a mad scramble to try and get in on the markets, so you don't get punished too much. Because if you don't build in markets in Euphoria, you get a specific punishment like the total dice that you can have is reduced, or you can only have 2 of a resource. If you get a third, you have to discard it, things like that. So you want to be in on the markets, not just because you want to avoid that penalty, but because when you build them, you get to put a star on them, which is how you win the game. You get your 10 stars out. But yeah, maybe not in our experience. But I remember hearing that it had like problems with the cards as well, with the recruit cards.
Some seem to be much better than others.
I think that. Didn't that get fixed in Didn't that get fixed in a little update pack we had once? I remember having a little update pack for Euphoria. But anyway, the expansion's got a whole new deck of recruits, so even if that was a problem, hopefully it's fixed now. Your next convention, UK Games Expo. Unfortunately, I know that there's a Gaming Rules Charity Games event that we're unfortunately not going to be able to go to. We couldn't make it to Aircon, which pretty gutted about. Next year, hopefully, we'll finally make it there, because it seems like a really, really good one. And I'd love to go to one in America as well. Like, I know GAMA isn't a proper convention, is it? It's more of a trade kind of thing for retailers and stuff. That kind of thing. But, yeah, I see all the stuff going on about that right now. I'd love to go to one in America. Maybe Gen Con. But, hey, I've looked at flights.
That's
and
like the dream.
I think there were many hundreds of pounds more than we had to go to a convention with. But, yeah, it'll be the UK Games Expo. Maybe we'll film something there. But I say that every year, and I don't think we've ever managed to.
Nope.
But hey, things will be calmer this time, right? Surely it's not massively busier every year. It's got to calm down at some point. Mike, have you played through Root? You should do a solo run through just for me. I haven't. If the makers of Root would like me to do one, get in touch. But yeah, I don't know if we'd like it. I haven't really looked that much into it.
Well, you could do a solo run.
Yes, like they have to. Well, Scythe is a game that we didn't like in the end because of the... Scythe is not so much because there's too much fighting, but the kind of threat of fighting each other goes through the whole game.
We just steer clear.
Yeah, and so if you both know that you are going to do your best not to fight each other, it really stifles the game, because the game wants you to have that tension
like
between the players.
We don't really play like area control, because we just tend to stick to like separate areas.
But solo, yeah, I don't mind doing it to an AI. I'd like to do Scythe again as well. Scythe I did a solo video for quite early on, but it's one of the ones that I think's got the most mistakes. I'd like to go back and correct that, but I don't have Scythe anymore. Go to BGG Con if you travel to the US. Yeah, that looks really good as well. That's mainly like just a friendly game playing one as well, isn't it? Rather than having loads of exhibitors and things. I think it's got exhibitors. I know nothing. I'm talking rubbish. I've heard that it's really good though. Marty's favourite game. What would his be? His would just be knocking over things.
I think his favourite game would be... What's the game with the fish?
The game with the fish?
Raycons.
Oh, Nussfjord.
No, Nussfjord, that one. Because he would catch all the fish and gobble them up.
Yeah, he'd never win, but he'd just get a load of fish.
He'd love the little fish tokens.
He'd just knock them all off the board. Just gang up on Marty. Yeah. It would just have him as an AI. If they put Automas in all of these, I think isn't that how you play Root 2 players? Isn't there like an Automa system or something? I should really look these things up before just prattling on about them. What did you guys not enjoy about Charterstone? I think one of the things is we played it with Automas to tighten up the game because, like in a lot of things, like say Euphoria, we found that Euphoria isn't. We always thought it was great, but going back to it now, we thought it was a bit rubbish at 2 players until now we had the Automas from the expansion, and now it's all tightened up and it's all great, and the Automas work brilliantly. But so in Charterstone, same situation. We thought board's wide open for 2 players. Nothing's blocked off or reduced for only having 2 players. So put the Automas in to tighten the game up. But even though it's a great Automa system as always from Automa Factory, I think involving Legacy and having all of these unlockable things and having the Automas able to unlock things, it's good in a way because it lets you see more of the game. You wouldn't see much of it in a 2-player game.
They unlocked a lot of
They unlocked so much stuff so early on that the first... I can't remember how many games.
We had a bit of a wonky game.
Maybe, yeah. The first chunk of games, they unlocked so many more things than us, so we were spending so much more time on their turns than we were ours. And then, yeah, the actual even though Jamie has said since in replying to me that he tried to kind of obscure how well people were doing in the campaign. Like, for a while I was doing well on stars and things, and you were doing well on building points.
Yeah, buildings, but we knew.
But even with that kind of, you don't quite know what everyone's scoring is. Even with that, we knew more and more and more as it got towards the end that I was winning by loads. And so, yeah, that was a... Well, it was not just for Rach. Rach was obviously not pleased with that, but it's not great for me either because what tension is there in there? If I know that I've won by that much, I can still kind of enjoy the game, but there's no competition and stuff in the campaign because of that. But it's weird talking about legacy games as well because... Not only is the thing of you might have made a mistake and then that mistake's permanent and you would never know because nobody saw what we did from game to game. Well, I think we got the rules right in the end. I think we messed up the first game, didn't we? But it didn't have a lasting impact on the campaign.
No.
So there's that part. I can't remember what the other part that I was supposed to say was. That was too long a sentence. I've lost my thread. Anyway, in conclusion... Oh yeah, you can't really talk about a legacy game that specifically because unlike a standard board game, unlike any of these, our experience is going to be largely the same. Like how you respond to that experience, whether it's a good or bad one for you, is going to be different. But the rules are the same. The way the game works is the same. And depending on how a legacy game is going, we might have had a vastly different experience. Like some games more different than others, like Pandemic Legacy 2. We'd have a vastly different game, and I know that people have got massively different opinions. Like, it might be Rado, it might be someone else, said that Pandemic Legacy 2 was way too easy, and that it was a disappointment because of that. For us, it was so hard.
I would not agree.
We still love Pandemic 2, but yeah, our campaign was so hard
Much
because
harder than the first one.
Because you can unlock things in different orders in that game, and the way we happened to go in it just turned out we didn't know until after we'd finished the campaign and then looked at what does everybody else think, that you have a vastly different experience with it. But I think that Charterstone and then Rise of Queensdale that came after it, we didn't love Queensdale either for different reasons,
But also a similar reason of I don't know, not as early as in Charterstone.
Oh yeah, the runaway leader
but
thing.
We knew, and it had loads of sort of mechanisms to help the person that was behind. And for the first half of the whole game, we were flip-flopping first and second place.
Yeah.
But then I think halfway through, you pulled ahead, and there was no way for me to catch back up.
Yeah, it's got good. Queensdale.
It tried.
Yeah, Queensdale's got more obvious rubber banding in there to keep the players together. Like, if one person wins the game, other people will get benefits to try and help them out in future games. But I think that based on those two, because there isn't that many legacy games to try that yet, really. It's still, even though it's been around for how many years now? Is it like 4 years? I think in October it'll be like, well, Risk Legacy is a lot older as well, but I'd say like maybe the trend of legacy games starts around Pandemic Season 1. If we start from there, it's been like 3.5 years. But because they take so long to make and so much to playtest, I'd imagine, they don't come out very quickly. No. So there's only really been like the 2 Pandemics, Charterstone, Queensdale, Eon's End now as Legacy. What else is there? There's Risk way before all of those. And then there's, I know Betrayal at House on the Hill has gotten a Legacy version, but that's 3 players plus. And the last few times we played Betrayal, it's been quite a few years since we played Betrayal, but the last few times we were quite sick of it by the time. So I'd imagine if it's more Betrayal at House on the Hill, probably not that keen on it. But anyway, I was trying to say that based on the small pool that we've had of these, the competitive Legacy games, not really that keen on. Maybe it's being 2-player, maybe it's that runaway leader stuff, but I much prefer the cooperative way of doing things. And then even so in the cooperative things, there's only been Pandemic and Eon's End, and out of those, Pandemic is head and shoulders above Eon's End still.
I still think the first Pandemic is the best one.
Yeah, definitely. Where are we? I think the automated route is a cat. Even better, Marty could roleplay that cat.
Hive.
Hive? Okay. What else is coming soon? I filmed things. They're waiting. Beta Colony is coming up. I think we talked about that last time. I think we'd played it last time. Yeah. And I hadn't quite filmed it yet. That's coming soon, though. What else is there? Shipyard is coming soon. That's something I'm excited about because I've gone on about that game so many times, I feel like. I keep mentioning it. Every time I do a game by Vladimir Suchi?
You're looking at me like I know.
Suchi. Every time I do one of his games, I inevitably bring it back to Shipyard. And any ship-related game, I just say Shipyard instead because it's so amazing. But
there is a ship game on the request list, though.
Yeah, so you're...
Nauticus.
We can tell people, if we find the time in the video, we'll find the time in the published video and tell the Kickstarter voter people to come to this point to see your 10 games list.
I didn't say I was going to explain them.
Let's see if anything comes to mind. So we've got, and these are in no particular order, this isn't Rachel's top 10. So first of all, she's nominated Roll for the Galaxy. Why, Rach?
Dice and cups. That's all you need to know. Dice and cups.
Rolling dice from plastic cups.
Dice and cups. That's all you need.
That's all you're going to give them. Yeah. If there's a voter out there that's got no idea about Roll for the Galaxy.
The sound of having dice and them cups.
It's true. Fair enough. Gold West is the second one. Why Gold West?
I don't know. I just like it.
Okay.
Like it.
That's all you're getting. Among the Stars.
I'm not prepared.
Among the Stars.
Because you're building a great space station, and yeah.
Okay. If you saw my playthrough for Fields of Green, Fields of Green is like a
space
spiritual sequel to Among the Stars, but Among the Stars is
can come and there are all these crazy alien races. Some pretty good designs in
Among the Stars is still a favourite. Fields of Green's great, but Among the Stars is still the best. Queen's Architect.
Best race game.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I think it's pretty overlooked as
well. Cool little. It's kind of like a little carriage driving around the roads, and you have those the people that you buy.
Yeah, your
The
workers.
hire your workers. They're
you're
really
trying to get
cool.
You're trying to get
The
things
way they
built all
work
around the
is really
kingdom,
good.
and you need different combinations of workers to do that. Your workers are all these hexagons that have got different values, how effective they are, and so when you do a build, you add all of their values up, and that's your build value and your points.
Good system.
But then, as they're used, they get turned to a different number, and they might get a little bit better, they might get a bit worse, they might just go away. It's really good, and I think it's pretty overlooked. Now, one that I've definitely put this in quite a few votes, and it regularly gets next to none, next to no interest.
Which is ridiculous.
Augustus, or I think it's sometimes called Rise of Augustus.
Best.
Why should they vote for
Because it's
Augustus?
It's in the Roman times,
Yeah.
and you get to have little soldiers, little Roman soldiers.
Yeah.
It's just a really good bingo game.
Yeah, it's bingo. It's bingo, basically. It's Roman bingo.
Really good bingo game.
There's a bit more to it than that. Not that much, but yeah, it's Roman bingo. It's like, what if you took like the way roll and write, a lot of roll and write
You
games.
only start off with 7 soldiers, and you've got to really make some good decisions of where they're gonna go.
It's like how games have like taken, like say SOS Titanic takes Solitaire, Patience, the card game, and makes a game out of it, and the way some roll and writes take Yahtzee and make a really interesting game out of that. Augustus takes bingo and makes an actual.
And it is also a race game.
Is bingo a game?
Bingo, race game.
What counts as the definition of a game, Rich? Let's get really deep here. Is bingo a game? Doesn't it just happen?
It is a game because somebody can win.
Okay.
Somebody can win.
Is the lottery a game?
Yeah.
I suppose you play the lottery, don't you? Moving on. Nauticus. Kramer and Kiesling game.
A good ship game that isn't Shipyard.
Okay. That's why you should vote for that.
It's got really nice pieces. The artwork's really cool.
Yeah.
I like
And Kramer and Kiesling games
really
are always
nice.
worth a try.
Really nicely made.
Suburbia.
Really good game.
Okay. That's why you should vote for that.
I would play Suburbia anytime. I like Suburbia.
Wouldn't you play any of these anytime?
Well, yeah, but like, I don't know.
Okay. Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Again, another good game. Like Suburbia and Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Like, I don't know. It's nice to build up your own little thing.
Which one's better?
One's a city, one's a castle. Get back to me on that.
Okay.
I'll let you know my top 10.
Number 9, Amerigo.
Mentioned this earlier. Tower that you put cubes in.
Yeah, that's why you should vote for that.
And you're travelling around little islands finding treasure. Which
Treasure?
may come in the guise of cotton.
And it's a Stefan Feld game. You should just
beans.
vote for it because it's a Stefan Feld game. And number 10, Peloponnese.
Peloponnese. Probably the only auction game that I actually really like. Because I don't really like auction games.
Yeah. Although you hate people outbidding you still.
Yeah, but you can go somewhere else. And usually it's still alright.
Yeah. It's the best auction game.
I still
it's got
try
an
and
amazing
bid the
auction
minimum
system.
and then get annoyed when people outbid me.
Yeah,
but
you can't change your bid in Peloponnese. You're bidding for these tiles to build your kingdom up and blah, blah, blah. But whatever your first bid is, you're stuck with that. If someone outbids you, you can take those coins, and if they're enough, you can bid on another tile, if you can outbid someone else or meet the minimum bid. But if you can't, you just have to take your money back, and you get a few extra coins, but you get nothing this round. So it's really, like, all that tension happens before you bid, because you don't really know how it's going to go. And then, so that's going to be vote number 1.
Yeah, and there were some games that they're definitely not my top 10 because some that I wanted to put on there you'd already done.
Yeah.
For example, Nations.
Yeah, Nations were already
Trajan,
done.
Obviously.
Nations, the dice game, didn't make it.
I'd rather play Nations.
I thought that was going to be its substitute, though.
Maybe that'll go in my smaller games, although
Yeah,
Nations,
we're gonna
the
do-
dice game is a bigger game.
I'm going to do 10 big games, and then Rachel's going to pick 10 small games. So, Quinto. Ooh, little yawn. Quinto and things like that. Quinto's going to be one of them, spoilers. And then maybe the third vote will be like the runners-up of both of those.
Mixture.
Or maybe the 5 that nobody wanted from either of those.
Maybe we'll do a vote and the only thing to vote for is Augustus.
We'll do votes of things. We'll look through the history of the votes and look at the games that got 0 votes.
Although, technically, I am a deputy.
Yeah?
So I might just request.
Yeah, you could use your special vote to request Augustus. See if it could be the least viewed video that I made so far. Although maybe it'd start just a wave of buying
Augustus revolution.
Yeah. Back to that's a journey into Rachel's 10 nominations for the March vote.
In depth, very in depth.
Yeah, it's good. Why should you vote for this?
Just like him.
Why not?
I don't know. Game technicalities.
I don't know game technicalities. I just speak and hope something comes out.
You know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm a professional.
I don't know what I'm talking
I'm
about.
semi-pro. Mike, are you fans of Mage Knight? Yeah.
Yeah.
We've played it and enjoyed it. Like it's like an all-day session, really, isn't it?
It's a time sink that we don't have time for.
Yeah, it's amazing, and definitely respect how deep it is and how complicated it is, and what an amazing puzzle it is. But at the same time, it's got a huge investment in time and rules, and we found that even before, I think this was before I ever did the channel, or like very early on maybe, when it came to selling Mage Knight, the thing that kind of tipped me over the edge was there's such a massive gap, there's so many months between our plays of Mage Knight that by the time I get it out again, I've forgotten how to play it.
We have to learn it again.
You know the broad strokes of, you play your cards, they give you the movements, takes this amount of movement to go through these tiles, play a card sideways and it gives you a movement, something like that. But it's all the stuff about, there's like the fire attacks, ice attacks, there's like cold fire and something like that. Yeah, just all of those little rules that should be there. It's meant to be a complex game. Just it was too much to remember. Although, WizKids, if you would like to send me the Ultimate Edition, we never played. We didn't know Paul Grogan at the time, and it was hard to get the expansions. But Paul Grogan designed a couple of the expansions for Mage Knight as well, so I could do some kind of team up. He's got the Ultimate Edition. Gears it, Paul. But yeah, Mage Knight's amazing. We did play. We got Star Trek.
Yeah, we went to
What's the Star Trek one called? Factions? No, not Factions. Frontiers. Star Trek Frontiers, which is like Star Trek Mage Knight, and it's dumbed down a little bit. The broad strokes of everything is the same, but I think all of that stuff about cold fire and stuff like that, all that was taken out and simplified a little bit, and that was better. But still, it's been a couple of years.
We haven't played it again.
We haven't played it again, and if we got it out now, we would be going through the walkthrough, the tutorial, the baby steps game again, because I remember next to nothing about the intricacies of the rules and stuff. So yeah, definitely, I can understand why it's a lot of people's favourite game. It's Paul Grogan's favourite game, but yeah, if we played
Paul's favourite game.
Yeah, that's why he designed expansions for it. It's his favourite game. Even
doesn't have time
better
to
than
play
Gloomhaven.
He does not have time to play it though, which is a shame.
Paul though has got rules hard coded into his head. He would never forget the rules to
his
things.
His favourite game, and he's so busy he probably doesn't get to play it.
Yeah,
it's sad.
That's the downside of doing this. But hey, we get to play a million new games, and most of them are good.
But none of them would be in my top 10 probably.
It's very, very hard to crack your top 10. It's very, very hard to crack to get past the point of you saying it's all right.
Like games in the past year, I don't know if I would want to. There's any that have stuck in my head. Loads.
Really? Nothing. What was the? Let's find
I'm saying this, but you're gonna prove it wrong now, which is.
Let's find. You generally don't agree with my top 10s and things.
No.
Let's have a look at the top 10 videos from last year. And I know that most
top
of them
one,
wouldn't be on
Underwater
yours.
Cities. No.
Yeah, Rach didn't like Underwater Cities. Here we go. You're going to hear a bit of me talking, and now mute that. Okay. Newton.
Yeah, someone
like
just
Newton?
mentioned that. Matt just said that.
Oh, you bought Newton after your playthrough? Yeah.
Newton.
It's
good
brilliant,
game.
isn't it?
It is a good game.
So you like Newton? I don't think it would crack your. Well,
No.
this isn't my top 10 of all time.
Yeah, but top 10. I wouldn't do top 10 of a year because I don't even know if there would be 10 games.
You like Newton? Forum Trajanum? You like that?
Yeah.
Detective, Chronicles of Crime, both last year. I cheated and put them in the same position.
But you can't say, oh, I'll play that again.
I suppose so. But Chronicles of Crime now, not only is it getting its expansions, and Detective's getting its LA expansion as well, which...
I'm really excited for that.
Want to see and Chronicles of Crime is the noir expansion. Really excited about both of those. Chronicles of Crime, Lucky Duck have also released a community editor and given everyone a guide of how to use it. You can make your own if you wanted. You can make your own story now with all of those cards that are in there, which is amazing, really. Potentially infinite stuff. If they can find some way of gathering the stuff that people make together as well and curating it, then that could be amazing. If you could find some community created things from the app, like the cream of the crop, that would be brilliant. Carpe Diem?
Yeah.
Yeah, you love Carpe Diem? Dawn of Peacemakers?
Well, some of these I don't really remember.
You remember Dawn of Peacemakers?
Yeah, really good.
Now Boarding?
No.
Well, you're not keen on that. You don't really like real time in general, do you?
No.
And Now Boarding is frantic real time. What is it, like 3-second rounds or something like that in a 2-player game?
3.
It's something like it's like 5 seconds or something in a 2-player game. Am I remembering that wrong, or is it 10? It's 10 seconds, something like that.
It's like 15.
It's short anyway. Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan.
That was a good game.
Yeah.
That's perhaps my favourite from last year.
Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Well, considering that you didn't like Between Two Cities.
Yeah, it was better than that.
That's an achievement, isn't it?
Improvement.
And my honourable mention, Bellarati.
Yeah, that's got to be like one of the best games of last year.
An amazing game. Would that be in your top? That would be in your top 10, wouldn't it? Then?
Top 10 little games.
Yeah, I should do some separate top 10s. One for big games, one for little games.
Party games, top 10. Well, we'd have to do top 5.
Well, that's what's weird of like when I did that tool that like you put a list of games in it and then it shows you 2 and it tries to make a ranking for you, so it'll compare 2 games. But I kind of thought that like in a party game scenario, then those games are amazing. But every other time, they are...
Yeah, you can't compare.
They're unplayable for us, really. You need 3 players minimum for almost all of them. But, like, when you've got the players and everybody wants to play one, things like Time's Up is probably the king of party games.
Definitely.
And then Telestrations, Pictomania... What are the others? They're the main ones, aren't they?
The betting one.
Oh, Wits and Wagers.
Wits and Wagers,
yeah, in the right situation, they are like they've been some of the best times. Like games of Time's Up as well.
Well, when friends come over, we tend to like play a normal game, and then we play a couple of party games after to finish the night off. But they've definitely improved game nights, I think.
Yeah,
a little bit of fun at the end.
Yeah,
Time's Up. Fun at the end.
Time's Up isn't.
And it's often like midnight. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Where did the last 3 hours go? Time's Up. That's where it went.
Yeah, it isn't fair to other games how simple Time's Up is, and what amazing stuff comes out of it. So yeah, like when you do a top 10 of everything, like do they come in there because they're so specific? Like there's such specific situations, but at the same time, they've been some of the best things. Who knows? I don't know.
Good times.
Is Trois still in your collection? I bought it after your playthrough and it's still my number 1. However, it's a hard sell for the wife. She prefers Coimbra over Trois.
I'm not surprised it's a hard sell. It's a hard sell for a lot of people.
Yeah. Rach hates Trois. I don't think that's putting it too strongly, is it?
I don't think it looks nice. I don't enjoy it at all, really.
You hate the artwork. You hate the maths involved in working out your actions.
Yeah.
You hate that people can buy
if
your dice.
Somebody even has the guts to buy one of my dice, honestly.
Yeah.
But I refuse to buy anyone else's dice.
Yeah, I think
that's just my problem, though.
Yeah, I don't think there's a thing that you like in it, really.
Problem.
Whereas I think the art is amazing, perfectly. You know, it's set in that time.
I'm not saying it doesn't suit the time of when the game is set.
Yeah.
I just hate it.
Yeah, I love the artwork. I love the maths that's involved.
The symbols to say what the actions are, they are not helpful.
Yeah. I've kind of it's clicked to a point, even though I haven't played it that many times. It's clicked to a point where I can kind of work out what the symbols mean. But yeah, that is a problem. Any game where they've made it language independent, a few words would get across what a card does so much better than some of the hieroglyphs they ended up using.
I would say that is not
Trois.
language independent, because you couldn't look at those
Yeah,
symbols.
you then need to go to the English
and know what they mean
reference sheet that it's given
all.
you. But yeah, I love the maths involved in working out your turn, and especially if you've got some of the white buildings out that give you like +3 to all of your dice, or +3 when you buy a red dice off someone. I love working all of that stuff out. And the buying of your dice, I always remember I can't remember where it came from, but the idea that those dice aren't yours. They are all people that work in the town, in the town, village, city. They're all people, like, and some are from the church, and that's why you want to go in those buildings to get the influence of those people. They're all people that are kind of independent, but they're on your side a bit. You've got a bit of influence over them, but not that much. For some money, they will go work for someone else, just like that. So yeah, it doesn't bother me.
No,
much.
whereas I like to. And this is the same for most games, is that I like to plan out. So I've rolled my dice. Now I will plan I like to plan my turn, basically. This round I would like to plan. And I look at my dice. And like, I could look at everybody's dice, but any of those could be gone. So...
Whereas whereas you have to kind of think of like, oh, that person's got a red 6 there, and I've got this power that boosts red dice, so hopefully that's still there on my turn, so I can combine it with my dice and do this super amazing turn. And then if somebody buys it or that person uses it, then...
Whereas if someone buys my dice, my life is over.
Yeah,
for that
I'm just
round.
like, okay, then we've got to go to plan B instead. Whereas Rach hasn't got a plan B offered in games.
No.
Like playing Agricola.
That's me though. That's just
if a space in a worker placement game was vital to Rach's plan, and that space is taken, not maliciously, but if that space is taken, then
the next 10 minutes are a struggle.
The game falls apart for Rach. But yeah, twice. And they have properly announced now. It was kind of in development, and then it got cancelled and brought back. But now it's official that 2019 Trois Dice is coming. What do you think about that, Rach?
Obviously, you're really excited.
Well, originally, I think it's changed. I think what got cancelled is Trois II, as it was called, was a 2-player only roll and write, which sounds perfect for me. Only really play 2 players, and Trois is amazing, so that would be brilliant. I'm not sure if it's a roll and write still. It's a dice game based on Trois, though. And it's got the same...
roll and write I could get behind.
Got
but
similar
the problem
artwork.
Is the artwork. They've stuck with the artwork, the symbols. Might be a bit easier to deal with in a roll and write.
That works amazing. Alexander Roche, I think, is the artist. He did Brussels 1893 as well, which is completely different art style, but again, very, very, very stylized to the time. It's like, is it Art Deco? I don't know anything about art. I'm just parroting things that I might have heard vaguely about games.
But I am glad that I'm not the only person that feels that way, and I am with your wife 100% of the way.
Yeah, it would be nice if the event cards had some artwork. Yeah, that is a bit lacking in it.
As you can see, I really come alive when I'm complaining about something.
Yeah.
I should have like a little complaint section.
Andy says we like blanks as a party game. I've seen that. That's from the people that make Holding On, isn't it? From what are they called? Hub Games. We haven't played it. I think it's got attacking stuff, Andy. I think I vaguely remember that. It's like a game that you make, isn't it? That like cards do things. It's like a simple card game of like draw a card, play a card, it has an effect on it, but loads of the cards have blanks or might be completely blank, and you make up what the cards do. So you are crafting your own game for it. I know that they did an expansion as well, a little mini expansion that's designed by Matt Leacock, and it's like pandemic blanks that was put into it. Let's have a quick look on Board Game Geek at what blanks is like. I think I probably ignored it a little bit at the start because of its player count. Like, I know that I was going on about how good those party games are, but tend to dismiss a lot of them if they have like a 3-player minimum. Oh, blanks does 2 players though. Okay, then that's not why I ignored it. Why did I ignore it? I think it's got penalties and stuff. It's got things that like I play a card that's take that and stuff. I think that's why I ignored it. But am I wrong about that, Andy? Has it not got take that? Should I be interested? Should I try it? I don't think the people we play with would mind at all. It's only us specifically that don't want take that stuff in games.
No.
I think some of the people we played with would prefer it to be in there. So, did I skip one? Scott, have you had a chance to play the Alubari prototype? We played it the UK Games Expo before last, so nearly 2 years ago, when it was still a nice cup of tea. So I'm not sure how much it's changed since then. Because it's coming out at Essen, isn't it? Is it? Or is it coming? It's not coming out at the Expo. I don't know when it's coming out, actually. It's coming out soon. It's all final artwork and stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. It was like, and it's how Tony described it as well. It's like sped up Snowdonia. You get to doing the better actions faster because you've got the same like actions that you're sending your workers to, but you can also get plantations and stuff that grow tea, and you can get tea from actions and stuff as well. But if you have that tea and make chai out of it, you can give chai to a worker, and as well as doing their normal excavating or building tracks and stuff, they do a special bonus action as well. And in Snowdonia, you've got the bag with all the resources in it. It's got the white cubes in it, instead of being like a track that progressively makes the dummy player do more and more powerful things as it goes along. It's like a circle now, wasn't it? Where it just goes round and round and round and round.
Mm.
Well, it was great, but it has been a couple of years, so it could have changed since then, I know. And we're really excited about Foothills as well. 2-player only Snowdonia. What do you think, Rach? I'm sure that's coming out this year as well. Who knows? Hopefully it does. Blanca. What's that? I'm going to potentially wobble the computer now. Blanca party game. I have never heard of this. Is it not on board game? Oh, it's got bad ratings, Andy.
1.5.
3.0. Wow. I think it's got 1 rating there. That's what one person thinks of it. I've never seen that. I don't remember seeing it in the show. It's not on the market. There's no reviews or videos of it. What is this game, Andy? Did you design this game? There's no designer. There's no artist. There's no publisher.
Players think and write down the most awkward and ridiculously funny sentences. The rules are simple. One player reads out a sentence containing a blank, and then people fill in a word.
Oh, okay. That's like one of the Jackbox party games. I can't remember which one. Is it Fibbage? No, that's where you try and that's where you write a definition of a word, isn't it?
Games like that, generally, I'm rubbish at because I'm just not funny.
It depends. Sometimes something will come up that's like.
I think that
you've got a perfect answer
funny,
for,
but nobody else finds it funny.
Yeah, it's like Cards Against Humanity, but you fill in the blanks rather than having a card to play.
There is like a video game version.
What do you think about New Dale, the board game set in the Oh My Goods world? Oh My Goods was brilliant. The first expansion was brilliant. Do you remember playing through that? Had a story to it. It was adding new things to Oh My Goods as we played through. I don't think so. I doubt it. I know that the year after I bought the second expansion that Escape to Canyon Brook, I think, and we didn't play that at all. That's one of the ones that kind of fell by the wayside. Especially games that I have bought are lower priority to film and play. So yeah, that's one of the ones that's fallen through the cracks. But New Dale is a proper big board game that's got it works in a similar way, doesn't it? That it's got a campaign, it's got scenarios, kind of an evolving game. I'm always, even though we haven't really liked that many of them, I don't think, I'm still always interested and excited about an Alexander Pfister game. And based on that world of Oh My Goods, yeah, I'm interested in that. That was a really cool thing as well. It wasn't a ridiculously simple game, but a fairly light card game. I suppose it's not that light. It's like it's a combo game, isn't it? A production chain game. But for a little card game, taking that and then having the idea of, okay, now I'm going to make it a story, an actual campaign, and I'm going to introduce these kind of expansion bits bit by bit. That was a really good way of doing things. So yeah, I'm just interested in anything that he does. And basing it on Oh My Goods, yeah, even better. So I think we've gotten to the end of it, and it's been an hour.
And it's time for tea.
It's time for tea. Well, Marty's going to start running up and down the table soon and meowing and stuff.
He hasn't appeared. I don't even know where he is. I think he's upstairs.
Yeah, he's probably sulking upstairs somewhere, ready to be fed. So I think we're going to call it the end of March right now. It's the end of the March Q&A. We will be back at some point in April. maybe earlier in April.
We'll try and do it early.
Yeah, well, we didn't do it
We need to do a schedule.
We didn't do it last week because of aircon.
Yeah.
And then
we were going to do it last week.
I forgot this week is Liairicon. But I suppose there's always going to be something that people can't make it for, but you can watch afterwards. But if you're not here, you haven't seen me say that. So tell the world. This Q&A was brilliant. But we will be back in April to answer all of your questions and talk about more new games.
Please send us questions if you have any.
Yeah, if you've got a burning question, just let us know. And we'll save it. We're not going to tell you straight away. What else was I going to say there? Oh, I think it's about now. If you are hungry for more Q&A, I believe Paul Grogan might have started or is about to start the Gaming Rules Q&A from Portugal, from Liairicon.
Ben.
It's got Ben Maddox on it from
Ben's
5 Games for
there.
Doomsday. I haven't had a notification, so I don't think it's started yet.
He said around about in an hour, so it's around about
Yeah,
now.
I'm sure he's got tons of special guests lined up, so if you're hungry for more board game related Q&As, he will be on shortly. But thank you for watching us, though, and we will see you soon for more playthroughs and more live things. Bye, everyone.
Bye.